Welcome to Scott++. In this video, I wanted to take a look at code review. This is something that as engineers, we're all doing, but we don't really spend the time to look at what makes a good code review in the same way that we analyze what makes good code or architecture. So in this video, I just wanted to share some of the thoughts and ideas that have helped me over the years, and hopefully they can help you as well. So let's dive into that right after the intro. So the first thing I want to look at is the telos of code review, or as Simon Sinek would say, the why of code review. What are we trying to get out of this process? And really there are two things. One is to protect the quality of the code base, or maybe in a great day to improve the quality of the code base. And the second is to grow our team as engineers. So diving into protecting the quality of the code base, it's important to understand where code review fits into the ecosystem of everything you are doing to protect the quality of your code base. And specifically to understand what is the role of code review and what is not the role of code review in this process. It is not the role of code review, for example, to make sure that the code compiles, right, or that it's not going to break production. Not because those things aren't important, but because you should have other tools that are taking care of that. Similarly, code review is not linting, right? If you are looking through code and checking for tabs versus spaces or vice versa, there are other tools available to do those jobs, and you should make sure that your process is robust and integrate those tools so you're not wasting the time of your engineers doing those jobs. Instead, use code review to do the things that we cannot yet do or do well via automation. For example, making sure that the code is well tested, maintainable, and scalable. Honing in on tested, the first thing I do when looking at a code review is look at the test, right? If a pull request is adding a new feature, I want to look that a new test was added as well. Ensure the test is clear, easy to understand what is being tested, and it's easy to follow. You also want to make sure that the test coverage is robust, right? Do a mental check against the project requirements, make sure that all the edge cases are covered, etc. If you have clear, robust tests and the tests are passing, you're already in a great position. Moving to maintainable, is the code clear and concise, right? You should assume that someday after everyone has lost context of what this code was, that there's gonna be a bug and it's gonna be on you to dive in and figure it out. So if the code is easy to follow and understand what it's doing, if it is concise, if it is adhering to solid principles, that's what you want to be looking for. And of course, you also want to be looking at performance, but just like when writing code, you want to be careful not to be over optimizing or spending a huge amount of time making the code a little bit more performant if that performance is not critical in your case. You want to consider the thrash of sending the code back and asking for a improvement versus the actual impact of the performance gains. Okay, moving now towards helping your team grow as engineers. Again, code review is not the only tool at your disposal to help accomplish this goal, right? So consider where code review sits in the ecosystem for your team in terms of improvement. Also consider that code review is not design review or architecture review, right? You don't want to wait until code review to find out that your junior engineer has like totally over-engineered the solution. So be sure it's not the only point in your process where you're checking in with everybody and making sure everyone's going in the right direction. One thing that code review is great at, and some of the best comments that I've received that I was very thankful for, is pointing out when I have reinvented utility methods or something that already exists in a library that we're using. When you are being intentional about using code review to improve your team, specifically if you're looking at engineers on your team who have maybe less experience, when you do see an issue that needs to be addressed, see if you can't lead them towards the answer rather than just giving it to them directly, right? If you can ask questions and maybe probe deeper to help them be engaged in the process and kind of discover for themselves what the issues are and what the solutions might be, that's going to be a much stronger learning experience than if you just said, make it like this, and then they copy and paste it. That said, be sure to time box this and consider the scope of the code review. If you've tried to hit them with the Socratic method a few times and they just aren't getting it, it may be better to just give them the answer, get the code landed and then set up a separate conversation to dive deeper into that issue later. Finally, with those two main purposes of code review, to protect the quality of the code base, to help our team grow as engineers, we also want to make sure that we're doing both of these efficiently and not creating unnecessary thrash. I used to have this thought, and it still creeps up sometimes when I'm doing a code review, that if I don't find something to comment on or ask to improve, that I'm not doing a good review. But that's just ridiculous, right? Have trust in your team and make sure that you're not spending more time on code review than you need to. If you're checking that the tests are clear, the code is clear, there are no obvious performance issues, give an approval, land the code, right? And similarly, even if there are some small things, feel free to leave a comment, but also approve the code, right? Trust them to make those changes and then push the code without needing someone to, again, look over fixing typos or anything like that. So those are just some of my thoughts on code review. Hopefully you found something there that was helpful. Also, if you have your own tips, I would love to learn from you, so please leave a comment. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.